Welcome, guys. This is the first GP podcast. My name is Imtiaz. I am joined by Abhishek Vasudeva and Sashank Sharma, my fellow racers and buddies on the track. Um, Basically, the whole aspect of our podcast is to engage in MotoGP, which is finally coming to India, named as Bharat GP. And we're also excited that it'll be in our own track, in our backyard of Budh International Circuit. So we'll be covering each races as they come up until the end of the season. But we'll be, very much looking forward to the fact that we're going to be hosting our own race and we want to be part of it and tell people more about the Indian racing scene as well. I'll take you to my friends Shashank and Abhishek. They can introduce themselves a little bit and also share some insights on our podcast. Please, Abhishek.
Hey guys, I'm Abhishek Vasudev. I'm a professional racer, more or less, and a 32-year-old now with 13 years of racing experience, full-time racing, and I've been teaching racing as well for the past 10 years now. So that's me. Since it's a cricket-loving country, I do run a startup as well. It's very essential for us to be entrepreneurs. I think it's what comes with the sport in the country, and that's me, guys.
Awesome. Shanky.
Over to Sashank.
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Sashank Sharma. I come from Guwahati, which is in the northeast. And racing for me, it's been around 6-7 years that I've been racing professionally. You cannot say it's a full-time thing because we just have one event, Superbike event in India, and that too from the last 3-4 years we're not having it after COVID-19. For me, now my basic thing is I do all my practices in BIC, and recently locally we have a track over here, and I'm trying to get the kids, our local kids, up to the mark to go and compete in the national platform. So that's what basically we do. And till now, as much as I wanted, we're not getting the promotion or the platform to represent racing in the national level. But then sooner or later we'll have it, and especially with you guys promoting it, we'll definitely have a good future. Today we're just going to talk about MotoGP, and we'll take it forward with initiation part.
Yeah. Thank you, Shashank. And as you said that we don't get a lot of traction in India, and also it's a cricket-loving country. But I think it's gonna grow slowly, and even podcasts like these and people gonna get together. So just to let you guys know, we're gonna be having a lot of different people on our show every week or every second week or every time we have a race. All the well-known racers, all the best coaches that we have in India, all the youngsters who are racing in the young age categories and stuff like that. And as you guys both know, Raber, my son, he also has been racing, and Abhishek is one of his coaches, and he's lucky to have you by your side. But anyway, I'll take it away. So basically, this is the 2023 season for MotoGP. The first race, which is going to be held in Portimao in Portugal on the 26th of March. Now, guys, I know we all love MotoGP and we follow it vividly. So what I want to ask you guys is, out of both of you, what is your favorite team and who is your favorite rider on the current grid? And as you guys know, there's a couple of rookies this year, and I really like to know आप दोनों का favorite.
Go for it, Sashank.
Yeah, so like you said, Imtiaz bhai, see the favorite team and favorite rider might not be in the same thing.
Got it. Yeah.
So because right now, from all the legend and all the riding I've seen over the years, my favorite rider right now is Marquez. Obviously, I mean, a lot of us are totally mesmerized by the way he rides. But then team-wise and dedication-wise and technologically development and everything included, I think Ducati factory team is the best team right now on the grid.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Abhishek, yours?
Well, I'd second what Shashank said, right? But the vision towards MotoGP has changed over the years. We've lost Rossi, and the game just changed once the older generation left right? I mean, he's been what with three generations so far, the only rider from 1990s, whatever was there till whenever. And since then on, I think the perspective of the sport has changed a little bit with Marcus missing with his injuries. And of course, Marcus remains to be, in my eyes, the most talented rider out there on the grid for sure.
Definitely, definitely.
But there are some people who've learned from the best, like Quattraro, like Bagnaia, and I'm also rooting for Vinales and Aprilia as well. I want them to come up. And I hope Paul is happy sitting on the KTM hashtag gas right now. Right. So there is the favorite rider is, I mean, for me to want to see somebody on the top and dominating is Marcus, of course. But I want to see him fight with Quattraro and Bagnaia till the end.
Yeah, I'm a bit in a way not disappointed, but also surprised that Jack Miller went to KTM. I'm very intrigued to see what's gonna happen because I believe one of the best riding he's been doing has been in the last year with Ducati factory team, and
Yeah.
this year I hope that he doesn't fall really back on the grade where he's gonna struggle again, and from there's no coming back to the top teams, and you know how hard it is and how tough it is. Like they're all within a second and a half from the first to the 22nd guy, so which is very
Yeah.
surprising. But my favorite would be definitely Marquez. I love him as a rider. I
Yes.
think he has
Yeah.
not just the riding style, the attitude, and a lot of Rossi lovers. Like I love Rossi, we all do, but
Yeah.
a lot of Rossi lovers hate him, and this is a fact. Nobody can deny that they don't like him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for the incidents that we remember happened, how he blocked him and he couldn't win his 10th championship, blah blah blah. But you can't take away from him what
Yeah,
he's
that hurts
achieved
me
and,
as
and
well.
how good he is.
Definitely. I hate him for that as
Yeah,
well. He should have just let Rossi take that 10th and let go. But that was a very cheeky, funny year for me. I remember that year very well.
yeah,
And what
Yeah.
happened with Lorenzo and Marcus and Rossi's fights, it was just that's what I miss, right? These Top Guns are gone. And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
hard for an old schooler like me to have that new favorite on the grid. Like, I just know
yeah.
talent Marcus has the best in his pocket, but yeah, there are fighters out there. Let's see.
There are.
Did you guys watch the episodes though? The 4 episodes on MotoGP? Did you?
I
Was it?
watched the Marquez once.
Yeah, I watched the Marquez all in.
Mark
Yeah,
Marquez.
Mm.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was
all in.
really good, and
Mm.
it gave us a good backstory on what actually happened to him and how that entire Rossi
Yeah.
episode started. So, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Rossi has been ruling these MotoGP grids for over 2 decades, and suddenly this guy comes in and he's like challenging him everywhere. And he went to his track apparently, and he broke the record. He broke
Yeah.
Rossi's record on
Exactly.
Rossi's track. So that's what stirred Rossi, and
Mm.
that's how this entire
Yeah.
thing started.
uh,
Yeah, he took his technicians and all of that,
Yeah.
suspension guys, this, that. Yeah. Yeah, we remember.
so
But yeah, the reason I asked because when Imtiaz asked me, I was just opened up about Jack Miller and why he left Ducati, right?
yeah,
I wonder what the backstories are to these guys,
Yes.
and how even though they're in the most privileged seat, they still are willing to leave that and go elsewhere.
I mean,
How
I don't think he
toxic is
had
the
it.
environment?
I don't think he had a choice, Abhishek, because he did perform. He won a couple of races. He got a couple of podiums, but he wasn't consistent enough. And the youngsters were coming up, Jorge Martin,
Yeah,
Bastianini. They were just giving the results week in, week out, week in, week out. And
exactly.
I know Italians very well. I've had a lot of Italian friends over the years in Australia when I used to live there. And it's like, you know, apna desh, apni mitti kind of thing. Same thing for them. They got an Italian bike, they want an Italian rider. They've got it. I mean, the
Yeah, true,
perfect victory
true,
last year.
true,
And I don't think Jack had a choice.
true.
He wouldn't settle to go in one of the satellite teams. Uh, I think he was too big of a rider now, and that's why he went to KTM. And I'm not sure about KTM this year because last year they did struggle. The year before that they did really well, but last year was really tough on them. But Aprilia is one of the teams that I'm really really looking forward to what they're gonna do this year, man. Because last year they were giving results, and from Alesh, who wasn't the top rider in any of the previous seasons. and he nearly got a victory on one
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
races. He got a few podiums.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to what Aprilia is gonna do this year.
See, the good thing about Aprilia, what I feel is that the teamwork is spot on, and they're working really hard as a whole team. The rider,
Yeah.
the technicians, the suspension tech, everybody's working together, and they're going towards their goal. As for KTM, I mean, they have always snatched away everything from everybody else. I mean, it's just how long?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're getting the right riders, and they're bringing in this gas team also. I mean, with more teams on the grid, they'll have better development of their chassis, their suspension, everything, even the engine.
Hmm.
The problem that I find with the Ducati team, I mean, it's not a problem, but then they're being too harsh on their riders. I mean, with Ducati, we've always known, be it the WSBK team, be it the MotoGP team, even in our Indian team that we have, our two factory riders, they have immense pressure to perform. I mean, if you look at our riders going out on track, our Ducati factory riders, and the kind of pressure they're handling, you will see it reflects.
Yeah, true. I I agree with that in a sense. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, man.
you
Coming
know,
back to the Jack
yeah, go on.
inconsistency also, I think he was picked up on the KTM in Moto 3, right? If I'm not wrong. From
Yeah,
Moto 3 KTM, they picked him straight to Moto GP. He didn't take the traditional route of
yeah,
Moto 2
yeah.
where
You're right.
these riders who were beating him consistently came from.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the riders who moved from Moto 3 to GP straight up, no?
Yeah, there's. I think Brad Binder's brother did that last year. He went from Moto 2 straight to
Oh, yes, he did. He did.
MotoGP. Yeah,
He did.
and he didn't obviously have a very good year at Yamaha. And I think this year he's going to Moto 2 now. I believe. I'm not 100% sure which team, but that's what I believe. But what I'm really intrigued by, one step away from MotoGP, is WSBK. I don't know if you guys been watching it this year or
Yes.
even last year, man. Those top three guys has been like
Yeah.
eye opening.
Yes.
And what basically, as you guys know, I ride a Ducati V4, and I think Shashank does as well. Same bikes, and we've been riding Ducatis mainly. I have been, and through WSBK, whatever you see happening on that stage, or even MotoGP, whichever bike is performing, those bikes are the ones we get the technology onto street bikes, which we eventually take onto tracks. It was very angry and powerful bike. The 19 changed a little, the 20 they changed the chassis a little, and on the MotoGP tracks, what was happening is in on the straights, nobody was beating Ducatis, and but on the corners, the Yamaha was killing it. Like we noticed that. That's when Quartararo first came in on the scene. His rookie year, he did really well, and Marquez was doing really well. But then 21, 22, they changed the chassis totally. Um, all that showed up on the new bikes. I've ridden the
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
I think
What a
Abhishek, you
brilliant
also
bike.
rode it in Bira with me
Yeah.
when we went to Thailand.
True.
The 22, the MY22. Yeah, like it felt like a
Yes.
600 to me. That's and then that technology from MotoGP, from WSBK trickles down, and that is what I really love about those. Like people say, why do they exist? Why do these sports exist? But it is basically to build the motorbikes that eventually the normal consumer, the normal rider rides on the
Yeah.
street. And I think same is happening with Aprilia.
If you followed the national
Yeah.
championship few years back, there was a national championship 1000 cc down south, and I remember this guy Rishi Agarwal. Yeah, Abhishek might have known him.
No,
Rishi
I didn't.
Agarwal.
Very
He
familiar
was,
name. Yeah.
yeah. He used to do
Yeah.
tag days with our DRE instructor. What was his name again? He was a DRE instructor. Um, the tall guy.
Deepak?
No.
Anand Dharmaraj.
Yeah,
Yes.
Anand Dharma. He used to ride with.
Anand.
Yeah, so he's basically in Anand's team. And Rishi, I saw him riding the Aprilia, and that bike handled beautifully. But
Yeah.
then when you bring it to BIC and you cannot do those top speeds, that's what kills the competition. So for BIC, maybe the new Aprilia would be very good, but then we need people to buy them and actually put it to the test against these Ducatis.
Exactly.
So only then we'll know the potential of the bike.
I've been told it's
Yeah.
a beautiful package, no? If you can actually build that bike,
Yeah.
like it's got a chassis of whatever and of maybe a 800cc bike or a 400cc bike. It's got great power to weight ratio and it's a real quick, fast machine that needs to be built right, I think, to be able to sustain the Ducatis now, man.
We need some
Yeah.
competition, definitely. I mean, it's getting a little boring, but then again, if you look at it, at the end, like all of us say that it's the
Yes.
rider, not the bike. You look at Simran. He just cracked a
Yes.
156 on the BMW on the
Yeah.
last track day. I remember
That's a
he's on
good
the 1000
as
RR.
well. The
Can't take that
Aprilia.
away.
It beats the Aprilia left-right
Yeah,
center where
it's a
Aprilia
good.
needs to develop. I think BMW is already
Yeah,
developed. It
Yes.
just needs a few horses and maybe a race body. And then it's so much more easier in the corners, right? Compared to a
Yeah.
Ducati.
yeah.
I was surprised the way it changed direction and fell down to that lean angle at once. It was for me to adapt and digest the fact that this bike is capable of so much agility, right? And so much comfort in that agility. It's just Ducati is just going to make
Yeah,
you
yeah.
keep your eyes wide open at all times, right?
But but the 22, yeah. Even when I rode the
Yeah,
22 on Chang circuit in
yeah,
Thailand.
yeah,
It was just smooth,
yeah.
man. The power delivery was smooth. The traction was smoother because when you exit the corners, you can have it on full gas and you're still on a 45-degree lean. The bike's not going anywhere. It's not giving it power. So after a certain angle, it'll give it the full beans. Before that, it won't. And what that does, what the guys told me there is basically you
Exactly,
don't lose traction.
exactly,
So it might not feel like you're going fast, but
exactly.
you are actually faster. So I think the new
Yeah,
22, which I
Yes.
really like that bike. It is very expensive. I mean the the new one compared to the older one, but the prices in India of bikes, man,
that's
that we
where
can
that's
have a
where
whole
I'd
new
like to speak
podcast
to
on that.
Sashank about,
and,
no, about
and a long
my
discussion.
perspective for DRE is just to be able to spend 10% of the bike amount into 10 track days
Yeah.
in different countries.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
anticipate why Shashank doesn't go is because of the batches of training that happens and all of that and the constraint to actually do what you want to do on an international circuit.
Yes.
Are these the ones that's stopping you?
See, there are multiple reasons. First is the DRE packaged. I won't say it's too expensive. It's very well priced for the tracks we are going to, except for the Bira, of course. That was a very small track. I mean, I got a picture of the
Yeah,
track. I checked it out nicely, and then I didn't feel like. I mean, it was almost like MMRT.
I fucking love that track,
Yeah,
But
Shashank.
I love
it would
that
be
track,
a
man.
good
It's
I
track.
good.
honestly I love that
I
track.
know, I
I
understand. It
love
will
Yeah.
be
that
a good
track,
track.
Shashank.
You'll have
It was so
wider
fast.
corners, big corners, but it's just like MMRT if you look at it on the map and then you look at other riders riding around it. So,
It's actually between
Yeah.
MMRT and Curry, yeah, but
yeah,
dude, the amount of fun we could have had in such a narrow circuit with uphill, downhill inclinations and bad
yeah,
tarmac and
that's true.
And on
it's
a big bike.
and it was
And on a
mad.
big
Like
bike.
I would have enjoyed more on a Bira circuit than a Chang circuit because Chang is another booth. It's like
Yes,
flowing. You can take multiple lines, and it's such a big ass circuit. You can think about, out of the box on the straight. You
yeah,
have so much time, but this one was so cool.
Yeah.
It's like sudden downhill, and then you're going downhill on a
Yeah.
short shift fourth
It
gear, climbing uphill. Don't know where you're going. Flat out on fourth. Immediately arrived to a chicane. It was
yeah.
quite
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah,
I think I was lucky I went for TRE. Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was still
Yeah.
decently
I
priced
did enjoy
because
that more
the way
than
I looked at
Chang.
it was like brand new sets of tires, brand new machine and hospitality. So
yeah.
it was like going to Thai and riding on a track and
Yeah.
on a ready brand new 2022 Ducati S.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
So
was
the bike
good.
was good. I mean, obviously, its price also very right.
It was bloody hot.
But the thing for me is like, see, for you, you're practicing almost daily, right? So you're already very adaptive on the bike. For you to just sit on the bike and go is like just taste the new bike because you have your basics cleared. For us, we have not been, I mean, we don't get until recently, until our recent track was open, we didn't get time to ride for like 6 months, 7 months, we're not riding. And suddenly we go to a DRE session and we sit on the bike. It's a complete alien feeling to us. So just to get ourselves adapted, this happens to us, used to happen to us, even when we used to go to Budh. So after like 4, 5, 6 months, we used to go to Budh and then suddenly sit on the bike, and that our own bike used to feel so different for us because we've not been riding for a very long time.
gotta stick to it. I
Yeah,
get
so
it.
one day we'll need just to clear ourselves, our riding position, the way of attacking corners and the feeling of going so fast into turns with our brakes on and trusting those tires and the corners and our bike, just gun our throttle out of the turns and pray to God that the bike doesn't give up. So that's why I think, I mean, the
No,
places where you guys have, I mean, if you're practicing and then you go to a DRE session, makes sense for you. But then if we don't have enough practice and we go there, we'll just be wasting one day just for adapting ourselves to the bike.
no, not Shashank. It's. I mean, why I would like to open up the perspective and clear that blockage for you is because it's a great experience, and I got to learn from Carlos, who pretty much developed the bike, right? And he was an endurance Spanish guy, and I
before
honestly
it, yeah.
learned a few things from him. And it was an expert batch, like I'm sure you also do around close to two timings for sure on a Ducati,
Yes.
right? I mean, even lesser if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, 159.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like 2 or 3 seconds off the pace on a factory Ducati bike, right? India.
Yeah.
And for you to come and sit on a bike for a rider who rides Ducati is very easy. And second was just getting to learn something new from somebody who's been exposed to world championships. Spanish endurance is crazy. And to learn from that guy, I learned a few things. And I came back with knowing what to unlearn here in the circuit, which I can train on.
Right.
So it will definitely help you gain maybe a second or something
Yeah, I
for
agree
sure
to
because
that.
you would have
It's
helped you
happened to
understand
me.
the Ducati a lot better.
Yes.
So for a
Yeah.
Ducati owner, it makes more sense than someone like me. For me, it's like okay, the price of the Ducati is one perspective, and then how much does a track day to Misano cost? 2.5 lakhs.
Yeah.
That's like 10% of the cost of a Ducati, a second hand, let me say. So like I get 10 Misano track days instead of one Ducati in India, which I
Mm.
don't know what to do with.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's
that's
true.
my perspective to DREs, and I'm so happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
And I think the experience that those coaches give you, and they don't use normal coaches. They use world-renowned coaches. Like
Chang.
when I went to Chang, I was lucky. I was put in
Wow.
a group with Carol Abraham, ex-Moto GP rider. So he gave me a couple of hints, and he looked at my body position. He told me where I'm wrong and where my foot position is, why I'm dragging my foot along the tarmac and stuff like that. And he told me how to conquer it. So that's always gonna remain with me. And as soon as I did
Yeah,
that, my whole body position changed at BIC. So
yeah,
irrelevant of what timings, we don't even do timings on DRE, but how fast I went and how quickly I adapted. And I think until you don't ride different tracks and different bikes,
true. That's true.
you don't become adaptive very quickly. And I think that is what makes you a very good rider is when you hop on different bikes frequently and hop on different tracks. And that's something which a skill. Someday you can have a really bad. I was talking to Dilip Lalwani, one of the factory riders in India, and he said, some one time I was actually when he did 155, he was wearing a shoe which was really tight on him, and he didn't feel comfortable, and he wasn't 100% there, and his mind was somewhere else. And he said, in a way, it was good because of the fact that when I know that everything's going to be 100% right,
Yes.
which is very rare in racing, uh, he's going to be even performing much much better than he
Yeah,
did while he was uncomfortable. Or even he said, I love riding in the heat because I know I'm killing myself inside. It's so hot, my legs are burning, I'm thirsty, my mouth is dry, I'm sweating everywhere. So then I just imagine if I perform my best here, imagine how I'm going to perform when it's a nice breezy day with sunshine and the tarmac is perfect temperature. He's going to kill it. So it is very important to get out of your comfort zone in order to become faster and become
True.
I think you should ride with the most
so
fucked up
so
bikes
next DRE.
anywhere on the road, on the bloody track. You get used to,
Yes,
your handlebar
yes,
being
yes.
bent. And I mean, I was used to that. I was a lazy ass idiot. I wouldn't fix my road bike. I have a crash and I break my gear lever, shifter rod. I wouldn't fix this. I've adapted. And trust me, those instances have come in a race where I took crash, pick up the bike and shift the gears with my hand and understand how I used to do the downshift without the pedal, all of those things.
Good.
So, and I think that strength of mine to have unconsciously put myself through only fucked up bikes, never got them fixed, just kept riding on no matter what condition it is. I can adapt very fast. And the first two races, I already have an edge for what I've seen over the last few years is that some of the riders are taking longer time to adapt to the machine.
Yeah.
And I've been on like bikes which are all the same, right? One make categories. The factory gives you the bike, and now it's just the rider's skill. That's a test. So adapting is been my strength, yeah, and I definitely got to put yourself out there and get better feelings for the feel of limit, for the lead angle, whatever aspect that is. I think you need to just be on the road as much saddle time. Bike is not right. Let it not play a mind game. Ride it either ways. I think that's some karate kid wax on wax off
It's
kind
true.
of
It's
a
even
philosophy that actually
it,
works. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And you got to go back to the times
yeah,
when we didn't have a lot of choice. Like
Yeah.
most of us all ride on Paredes at BIC, right? Most of us. And there are
yeah.
some riders who use Medzilla, but Dunlop, Michelin, Bridgestones, all these brands, they're
Yes.
world class brands, but they're not being used here. And I remember when one time I couldn't find tires, so I was using a Medzilla, and I was sliding on turn two. My back was coming around, coming around, coming around. So I came back. I never used them again. But it's only because it was in my mind and my other because I was new to the track as well. I hadn't been using other brands, so they just said, "Oh, it's the tire brand. That's why you're sliding around." But I most likely think it was me. It wasn't the tire at all. And then once I went to Australia and I did some sprint races there, night races there, everyone's like they're doing times that we would do here on BIC on slicks. They're doing them on normal Corsas and the one that come stock on the V4s. They don't use slicks until they're a couple of seconds off the record times because there's so much grip and so much performance out of the stock semi slicks that we don't need slicks. So I think it's a lot to do with your mind more than anything, and you can just adapt on using any kind of tire. I've seen people use very old tires. That whole myth of tire purana ho gaya hai. When
So I felt
because
this myself because when I bought the new V4, the old V4,
Mhm.
Imtiaz bhai, you must be remembering, I used to come and keep crying in the pits because I
I
couldn't ride
remember.
that beast. It was just too much for me. Like anywhere I cracked open the throttle, the bike would just wheelie and I would see the sky. All of a sudden, I had to close down the throttle, to be on the road and to concentrate on anywhere else. So as soon as I shifted to the 2020 V4, and the only option I had was because I didn't have any money on me back then, I just bought the bike. So I
Sure.
bought all these used tires from Manmeet Bhaiya, and
Hmm.
those were 2016 tires. And like
Yeah.
everyone was telling me, yeah, don't use a 2016 tire on a V4. So I was like, I'll go slow. Just let me be. I'll just go out there, have some fun, feel the bike. But then, as soon as I put them on and I went through a good heat cycle, I could get out. I mean, take out good timings. Not, I won't say those are very competitive timings right now, but then, yeah, around 202, 201 was the timing on those tires, old tires. Then I
Hmm.
shifted to Metzlers because I got a very good deal on Metzlers. Three sets, I got it for
Hmm.
somewhere around 1 lakh rupees. So
Wow.
when I shifted to Metzlers, what I saw is, like you said, the rear steps out a little bit. But then a
Yeah.
bike, if you just put the traction control up by one level, take it to two, in spite of riding it at one, I saw that it was very much controllable, and now the entire slide control thing made sense because now I could
Hmm.
change the trajectory of my bike, the exit trajectory, just on the gas. So you give it a
Hmm.
little gas. On Pirellis, it's very hard to do because Pirellis, it sticks too much to the ground. So you have to give it a lot of gas to make that happen. But to practice
Hmm.
that on Metzeler's was very easy. And after that,
Yeah.
as soon as I came to Pirelli's, and that was the last track day I did, which I had a fast time, and that was the day I did 159. That was the day I crashed. So
Oh. Wow.
after that, I mean, I just kept getting slower. So
Hmm.
that day I could do this on a SC2 and SC1 front. So
Hmm.
yeah, the practice had been done on the Metzelers. So like you
Okay.
said, I mean, it's all in the mind. I mean, if you want to put it to use and not get scared of it and just use all the, I mean, things, the stuff that you get on your bike, your electronics, just put everything to use, and I think it's quite manageable.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, Abhishek has been
Definitely.
using bikes
I mean,
without electronics, man. That's why you gotta.
Yeah,
He's he's got the feel for it.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think my traction control has become my throttle only.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I just adapt to the tire and be as smooth as it wants me to be. Otherwise, she's not going to slide and throw me off the bike, man. I've been bedridden, and I don't think that my instincts are gonna allow me to do that anymore.
yeah,
Pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
so good. So, guys, so we've been recording for some time. So, what I'm gonna
yes,
do now is we're gonna start to wind up the show. It's been amazing talking to
yes,
you. But what I want to go through with you guys is the MotoGP teams and the names of riders that are gonna be on the grid this year. I think we should definitely go through them, and
yes.
then I'm gonna get your top three for the race, which is coming up in Portimao on the 26th. But we'll definitely have another show before that, so we can preview closer to the race. So if we go from obviously the championship winning last year's championship winning team was Ducati Lenovo. So the riders for that team will be Franco Bagnaia and Enea Bastianini. So Franco, if not many know, he won the championship last year, and he's the number one rider currently, and he's the one who's gonna everyone has to beat in the next year's championship. So for the Yamaha factory team, we've got Fabio Quartararo and Franco Morbidelli. Aprilia factory, we've got Aleix Espargaro and Maverick Vinales. KTM factory is Brad Binder, Jack Miller. Again, Jack, fingers crossed he's going to do well. Honda factory team, obviously Marc Marquez, their number one rider. I'm hoping that Mark's actually going to be 100%, and if he's 100%, he's going to be in the top three for sure. And
Looks like
yeah, he does, he does.
it looks like that this time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so. And his fellow teammate is going to be Joan Mir. So it's I think first time for Joan coming from a Suzuki. Similar kind of bikes,
True.
but I don't know how he's gonna. It's not an easy
But
bike to ride, man. Honda.
you need bigger balls than Suzuki. Like
Yeah, you
he's
need bigger
always at the
balls. Yeah,
best. Like,
that's
yeah.
that's why no one else has been, except for Crutchlow. I'll say he's the only rider who's gone close to Mark in helping him, and he was
Exactly.
on a satellite team, and he had some big
Yeah.
kahunas. Now the Gresini Ducati team. This is interesting because Alex
Yes,
Marquez has joined Ducati, bro. And
yes,
He's gonna beat his brother in a couple of races.
I,
Probably.
it's not just
I
about
hope
it's
so.
not just about that. It's a fact that I personally think, they're brothers, bro. They know exactly
yeah,
what to do, where to go. He's not gonna leave Honda just for the fuck of it, right?
yeah,
So I think,
Yeah.
see, if Honda doesn't provide a bike, which I don't think they will, to that level of Ducati, this is Mark's
Yeah.
entry point towards Ducati. I think you guys would agree with that.
yes,
Definitely. Definitely. I did see an article where Alex is also mentioning that if they're not, I agree that they've waited for him while through his injuries and they've done their best and Mark has done their best. But if they can't give him a championship winning bike, he will move, is what his brother has said. So
But
Yeah.
then, I
I
mean,
guess
you
that's
take
good for him.
all the fun out of racing if you move Mark Marquez into Ducati. It's just championship after
That's true, man.
championship after championship.
That's true.
No,
That's
but
true.
within
That's
but
true.
within Ducati anyway, वो इंडिया वाला सीन हो जाएगा ना, Ducati कब
हाँ,
बोलेंगे उसको फिर.
one make MotoGP
One
championship.
big championship. I I I hope everyone catches up to them soon क्योंकि तभी तो
Yes,
मजा आता है. And he's going to be
Yep.
joined by Fabio Di Giannino, and Gresini Ducati is going to be a team to, I think, look out for now because
yes,
Alex is a very good rider also. LCR Honda, Alex Rins and Taka Nakagami. So Alex is joining Honda for the first time as well. So that should be interesting. Taka, he's just there for the fact that the Japanese influence is there.
yeah,
Otherwise, I think uska prime time chala gaya hai ab. Although he's a good rider, his prime is finished now. Um,
I think he's too injured to ride that bike now, man. Fuck.
yeah,
Feels like Crutchlow now to me, like too damaged.
yeah. True.
he
Getting close to Lorenzo also.
yeah, but yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I wonder why it's such a hard bike to ride, the fucking Honda, because
See,
they
because in the
they
development phase, they only took inputs from Mark Marquez. That was the only guy they aimed at. He was the only
Mhm.
rider they were looking out for, and they wanted to develop the bike according to Marquez's needs in the beginning. And
And
then
Marquez,
later, When he got
he's a
injured,
very aggressive rider.
yes. But then later, when he got injured, they couldn't manage the bike anywhere. So now they're at
Mm.
a stage where it's a very confusing bike. So the same thing happened to Yamaha when Lorenzo first came in, and then like they were trying to develop it more towards Rossi's side because Rossi was like the brand name for Yamaha. So
Hmm.
they're still trying to catch it up even till today. I mean, you have to salute Quartararo for doing what he does because he's the only Yamaha rider who's
Yeah,
performing. And it's not the
Yeah.
bike, it's just him. He's like pushing the bike everywhere where it's not even possible.
110%
Yeah.
for sure. Agreed.
Yeah.
I think he's doing what Stoner did on the
Ducati. Yes,
Ducati,
true.
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Those
That's
are the talented ones. You don't develop a bike for a talented rider,
Yeah.
but rather a less talented rider.
Yeah.
No, that's why I guess they use different riders for test riders,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
I always want to make logic to that.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think this year is one of the most interesting grids, we've seen because there's a lot of uncertainty because of, there's a couple of new riders, there's a couple of new teams at the same time. So this year is going to be very interesting. So I'll keep moving on. RNF Racing Aprilia. So that is one new team. Um, Luca Marini. No, sorry, not Luca Marini. Miguel Oliveira, who's coming down from KTM. That should be because he's a very
Yeah,
fast rider. He just didn't have the
Yes.
bike under him. Very fast rider.
yeah,
And he's going to be joined by Raul Fernandez, who's one of the rookies who's come up from Moto 2. And
yeah.
VR46 Racing Team Ducati, Luca Marini, what's his stepbrother.
Younger brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he'll do really well again this year. And Marco Bessanini, Bezzecchi, sorry. And Tech 3 Gas Factory Racing Team. So this is basically a KTM, I believe, and it's just been branded as Gas, it's a parent company. So um, the riders for that is Paul Espargaro and Augusto Fernandez, who's another rookie. So we've got two rookies this year. So it'll be interesting because, one thing I've noticed in the last couple of years, MotoGP hasn't been that welcoming for rookies because if they don't fucking perform, they throw them out.
Yes.
Like you saw,
that's a bad
that's
thing to
that's what
happen to
happened.
somebody who's just crossed his puberty,
Yeah,
man. Like
like
True.
they're what 22, 23
it
year old
happened
now, and
happened to
I'm like,
Gardner. He's in
Yeah.
WSBK now.
yeah,
Happened to
yeah,
Iker Lecuona. He's also in WSBK, and they
yeah,
weren't that bad. So the first year. So
yeah, yeah,
hope
yeah.
these kids perform a little. And lastly, we got Pramac Racing Ducati. They have the same riders as last year, Jorge Martin and Johan Zarco. And I think Zarco, he's been so unlucky not getting that um, first victory that, he's got so close so many times. He's been very unlucky in that. So let's hope this year. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get both of you to give me your top three for the race in Portimao on the 26th.
Jorge Martin,
Oof.
Mark Marquez, Bagnaia.
In that order, first, second, third, or any?
Okay,
You don't
so
need.
it's Bagnaia, Marquez, and Jorge Martin.
Okay. Shanky?
Bagnaia,
So
Marquez.
looking at the 15 turns of this track and looking at the kind of straights they have and the high speed corner, especially this turn 15 that goes on to the main straight, it looks like Ducatis are going to perform well. But then, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Bagnaia, obviously, he's the star rider of Ducati, but Bastianini's got a little fire inside him that he wants to unleash. And this always happens that whenever a new rider comes up into factory racing, he would want to prove himself in the first 3 or 4 races, especially
Yeah.
against the old bull. So
Yeah.
for Bastianini right now, as much as he wants to, he will try to beat Bagnaia in that race.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I would put on Bastianini on that top three.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, yeah, Martin. Martin is a force to reckon with, and he's very angry for the fact that he didn't get the factory seat.
Very.
And
Yeah.
But I
Marquez is
think
always there.
his consistency let him down.
Yeah, and especially
Yeah.
with the crashes. I mean, his performance was not that bad. He was
Yeah.
always somewhere near Bastianini,
Mm-hmm.
but then he used to crash out. So that's one thing
Mm-hmm.
he has to watch out for. If he doesn't crash,
Awesome.
that is, he'll be on the podium from what I think. And then Marquez is always there. So Marquez is like Abhishek. Like he said, if you give me a bad bike, if you give me a broken bike, if you give me a bent bike, I will still ride the shit out of it. So Marquez is
He
that kind
will.
of a rider.
He will. He will.
And he looks very, very strong, man. I
Yes,
see the recovery pictures and he looks deadly.
yes.
Like, so I'm like,
And his
He's putting it
attitude's
all in.
changed a little bit since his
Yeah.
last operation. I think he's told himself basically
better.
he's got to be happy. So he looks very positive
Yes.
mentally.
Ah.
That's what I think in his body language.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think we're going to have some nice backstories of factory Ducati team. Huh?
Yes.
Bastianini and Bagnaya's rivalry is definitely going to be a script from Dorna this
it
time.
will
Yeah.
be.
So,
Yeah, it has to be written like that. And I think Mark is gonna be the one who. Imagine Mark winning it right in front of them the whole championship, and everyone just like shut the fuck up. I
Yeah,
was
that
injured.
is
I'm
possible
back.
because
exactly.
towards the end of the race, when tire life comes into consideration and Ducatis suck,
Sucks
when
at
tire
that.
life, tire life
We know
comes into
that very
consideration.
well.
So Mark is going to shine.
Change, map 3, map 2, not about map 3, map 3. Yeah.
That is true. So let's hope. I personally think we'll get Marquez on the podium somewhere.
Yes.
I'm always gonna say that because he's one of my favorite riders. But
Yeah.
Bagnaia and maybe Jack Miller. I'm gonna throw Jack Miller in there. You never know. You
Oh,
never know. I'm not sure
Yeah.
on the
how quickly he's
KTM.
gonna adapt, but he's an Aussie man. They're tough characters,
Yeah.
huh?
True.
So let's hope that.
He was picked up for Moto GP when he was performing really well on the KTM, and he didn't even win the championship that year. He finished second, I think.
Yeah,
And he's back on the KTM now, so hopefully it's a circle complete
complete
for
for
him.
him.
Let's see.
Yeah, I hope so. He does something with his championship. But anyway, guys, it's been amazing talking MotoGP and everything else. There's so much more to talk, and I'm definitely gonna look forward to
Yeah.
our next one.
Yes, we should cover the Indian racing situation also and throw some light to it.
Yeah.
We will.
Now that the sport is coming here, I think the viewers would want to know what the scene of Indian racing is
Yeah,
also. Right?
definitely. We'll be doing that on our next podcast.
Yes.
Hopefully
For sure.
we can maybe have one of the racers actually on the podcast as a guest, and we can ask them questions. And a lot of people want to learn how to get into the sport. So we'll leave that for the next podcast. For now, thank you very much for joining me, guys, and I hope to see you both soon. You take care.